All right, let's dive into this Poison Sawada, a wrestler I'll admit I've never heard of.
Yeah, not exactly a household name.
But this excerpt we have on him, sounds like a character, right? Time travel, snakes, even dance routines, it says. So we gotta unpack this.
I mean, he's a perfect example of how much pro wrestling in Japan, how diverse it is. You have your New Japan, your big leagues, right? But then you got this whole world of indie promotions, smaller, more experimental. That's where Sawada comes in.
Okay, so start from the beginning. Trained at the New Japan Dojo, 1981. This is like the top tier.
Oh yeah, the New Japan Dojo. That's where a lot of the legends came from.
Yeah.
Tough training, known for producing some of the best.
But then,
yeah, just 2 years later, injury, forced into early retirement.
And that's got to be crushing. I mean, that early in your career.
You'd think that's it, right? Career over, but not for Sawada. This guy, he was determined. Spends the next few years, I guess, healing, training, really reinventing himself. And in '88, heads to the U.S., to the Malenko Dojo.
Malenko, so that's Boris Malenko.
I mean, one and only. So this is a big shift for Sawada.
Gotta be where that American influence comes in, right?
Yeah, he starts to understand, like, showmanship, the way you connect with the crowd. It's not just, the moves, it's the persona, that larger than life character. Even takes on the ring name Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh? Wow. That's certainly something. Any idea, was he trying to make some kind of statement with that?
It's hard to say, honestly. It was a time when a lot of Japanese wrestlers were trying out those American-style gimmicks, trying to break into the U.S. market. Maybe just trying to stand out.
So he comes back to Japan in '92. Does this American style stick with him?
He comes back with a new name, Poison Sawada. Took it from the musician Kenji Sawada. And yeah, he starts using more of those theatrical elements. But then things get interesting.
All right, this is where the snakes come in, right?
Yeah, it's gradual at first, little hints here and there. And then you have this match in '94, the no-rope, barbed wire, lumberjack, viper death match.
Hold on, did you just say viper, like the snake?
Yeah.
Live vipers.
Oh yeah, this was DDT Pro Wrestling. They're known for pushing the boundaries, this blend of comedy and hardcore wrestling. And Sawada, during this match, he actually gets bitten by a viper.
Seriously? I mean, was he all right?
He recovers, thankfully. But that bite, it's like a turning point for his character. Like it unlocks something, He starts working this whole thing about snake venom, like it's flowing through his veins, giving him these almost mystical powers. Imagine like a darker, more serpentine Undertaker, if you will.
Okay, that's an image. So full snake charmer then.
More like a snake commander, right? This hypnotic presence, fans going crazy, even start bringing Rattles to shake whenever he'd raise his hand, added to that whole eerie vibe.
But how does he go from almost dying in a viper death match to this snake-powered, I don't know, cult hero? Seems like a big jump.
Well, DDT was the perfect place for a character like this. Remember, they're all about the over-the-top, the comedic. He could really lean into it.
So it wasn't just the snakes, it was the performance, the whole package.
Right, the right gimmick, the right promotion, and a wrestler who could pull it off. He was winning championships, appearing in video games, really pushing those boundaries. And then, get this, he starts incorporating dance routines into his matches.
Wait, what? Dancing? This just gets weirder and weirder.
Oh, you gotta see it. It's something else. He's in the middle of a match, and then bam, a full-on choreographed dance routine. Totally unexpected. Fits perfectly with that DDT style.
So he finds his niche. He's a star in the indies. But does he ever get a shot at the big leagues? Back to those New Japan guys.
That's where things get really interesting. 2009, DDT manages to book Masahiro Chono, the legend, for their biggest show of the year.
Chono, wow. Former world champion, NWO Japan, a true icon. What's he doing in DDT?
It was a huge deal. And his opponent, Poison Sawada.
Wow, that's quite the matchup. You have this one and renowned superstar versus, well, a snake-dancing indie wrestler.
And Chono, he plays it up. Leading up to the match, he mocks Sawada, the snake powers. Doesn't take him seriously at all.
So what happens? Bell rings. Does Sawada try to, I don't know, hypnotize him with the snake magic? Do the Vipers make a comeback?
Well, that's a story for part 2. You have to wait and see how this Clash of Titans plays out. Bell rings, and you can tell Sawada's not messing around. Like all the over-the-top stuff, it's gone. He comes out intense, like he's got something to prove, not just to Chono, but to everyone.
So he ditches the whole snake thing. I mean, how do you even tone that down?
It's dialed back, for sure. But the crowd, they're still into it. shaking those rattles, even when he's not doing the hypnotic stuff. They want to see their guy, the underdog, pull it off.
And Chono, what about him? Is he rattled at all, buying into any of the snake charmer business?
Chono. Nah, he's a pro. Totally unfazed. Just dominates the early part of the match. All that power experience. Could have ended it quick, but you get the sense he's making a point. Like, this is real wrestling kind of thing.
So it's almost like a clash of philosophies then.
Exactly. You got Chono, the stoic veteran, old school, and Sawada, this flamboyant showman, something totally different. And the tension, it's amazing.
But this is pro wrestling, gotta have some twists, right? Sawada, he's gotta have something up his sleeve.
Oh, he does. Remember that cattle mutilation hold from the excerpt? Well, he gets Chono in it, and for a minute, Chono's struggling. You can see it, the crowd, they're going nuts.
So he taps out. Is this like the Cinderella story?
Not quite. Chono, he's too strong. Powers out, and then it gets rough. Starts punishing Sawada, kicks, pile drivers, making him pay for stepping up,
Sounds brutal. Does Sawada just give up at that point?
That's where you see his resilience. Keeps getting back up, again and again. There's this one part he tries to use that green mist, his signature move. But Chono, he just dodges it. Like, he's not even impressed. Like, come on, is that all you got?
So the snake powers, they're not working on Chono. Is that it for Sawada then?
Seems like it. Chono hits him with the shining Yakuza kick, his finisher. Looks like it's over. But then something happens. Sawada, exhausted, but he starts getting up. And he locks eyes with Chono.
What's he doing? Going for like one last desperate attack?
It's something else. He starts going into that trance-like state, the one he uses with the snakes. Crowd goes wild. They know what's coming. Could it be? Is it actually going to work on Chono?
And Chono, what's his reaction? Is there any fear there?
At first, no. He's stone-faced, looking at Sawada like he's nothing. But then slowly his arm, it starts to rise.
No way. The snake magic, it's working. What happens next?
Sawada, he sees his chance, goes to the top rope, superplex, sends both of them crashing down.
Whoa. Talk about a high-risk move. He's putting it all on the line here.
Total desperation, but it also shows like how much he believes in this weird style of his. Not just fighting for a win, but for recognition. To be in the same ring as a guy like Chono.
Crowd's got to be losing it at this point, so who gets the pin?
Neither. Referee starts the count, both guys are down, barely moving. It's intense. Chono, his pride, the fact that he's being humiliated by this guy, it starts to fuel him,
So the experience, is that what wins out in the end? Chono overcomes the snake magic.
He gets up just before the 10 count. But Sawada, he's done. Pushed himself too far.
Man, that's tough. So it's over. Chono wins by knockout.
Count out, technically. But he doesn't celebrate. No gloating. He raises his hand, but there's this look on his face, like he can't believe what just happened.
So even though he won, Chono, he's still affected by it.
Like a part of him, the part that dismissed Sawada, dismissed the snakes, it's shaken. He might not get it, but he can't deny what he just saw.
So he loses the match, but kind of wins. I mean, he gets Chono's respect. That's got to mean something, right?
It's huge. It shows, like, believe in what you do, even if it's out there, different. Sawada took this injury, something that could have ended him, and turned it into something unique.
Yeah, turned poison into power, literally.
And he never gave up, right? I mean, setbacks, people doubting him, all that, but he kept at it, kept getting better, and it paid off. Respect from his peers, fans loving him.
Yeah, it really shows success doesn't always look how you think it will. Sometimes it's a guy in a snake costume doing a dance routine.
And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. It's not just about Poison Sawada, it's what he represents, about the whole wrestling world.
Exactly. It's like there's room for all of it. The big names, the weird indie stuff, you never know what you'll find.
And sometimes the most unexpected stuff, that's where the best stories are.
So for our listeners, what can we take away from this, from Poison Sawada's his journey?
I think, first, don't be afraid to be different. Like, what makes you stand out, what some people might think is strange, but that could be your strength,
Yeah.
Sawada took his injury, what seemed like a weakness, and made it part of who he was.
Yeah, he turned it around, used it to his advantage.
And don't give up. Sawada, he had all these challenges, but he kept going, kept improving. And look what happened. He got respect, he got fans, he made it work.
His stories, it's proof you can find success in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes it comes with snakes and dance moves. Who knew?
So as you're going about your day, think about Poison Sawada, this guy who was different, who did things his way, and maybe it'll inspire you to do the same. Find your own thing, even if it's a little out there.
That's the fun part, right? You never know what you'll find when you dive into something new.
Exactly. And that wraps up our deep dive into Poison Sawada. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.